Baruchot habaot, ladies. Baruchot hanimtzaot. And welcome to another edition of Torah and Time. And also welcome to Ohel Sarah. Baruch Hashem, that there are many women who tune in every week to watch and listen to lectures. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And we're so happy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to bless us to be able to continue to spread the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and create inspiration in your life. It is such a zchut, you have no clue. Many of you out there write in with requests for topics that you feel are important to address, including you guys here today. And I try my best to fulfill those requests. There have been women who want to learn, or better yet, take a refresher course in the subject of Shalom Bayit. Some women feel they never had the proper guidance when it came to this area of their life. When we were younger, the one thing that the Kala teachers covered when they taught us before we married were the halachot of Taharat HaMishpacha, the laws of family purity. And then we had one class on what to expect on the first night of the wedding, as if that was enough. You know, growing up in a Beis Yaakov environment, meaning whoever grew up in a Beis Yaakov environment and was not exposed to the outside world probably sat there in shock. And I remember sitting there, I was in shock because unfortunately, letzarei harav, I was exposed, so I knew what to expect. But many girls out there just dropped their pens or were traumatized. But that was the extent of it. One class, an hour class on what to expect on the night of the wedding. But many women didn't receive hashkafa classes on marriage. They weren't taught how to promote love in the home, how to promote peace between themselves and their husbands. They weren't necessarily guided as to how to understand the masculine world. And they were not even taught how to understand the world of femininity, how to understand themselves. Two completely different worlds. The truth is that men really are from Mars and women really are from Venus. It's two completely worlds that are coming together. Many young women went into marriage with the halakha aspect of it, while the hashkafa was missing in action. And the same holds true for men. Today, Baruch Hashem, many Kala and Chatan teachers do take the time to address the hashkafa aspect of marriage, but unfortunately not enough time is spent on this subject matter. So you're pretty much thrown into the deep waters, and from the little bit that you're learning or from the little bit that you might read on your own, you have to try to figure things out on your own. Therefore, as per your request, and also the request of Hanania David Pinto, Shalita, who wanted me to do this, besides the weekly partial lectures that I offer on Torah Anytime, I will also begin a Shalom Bayit series beginning now until we finish the topic. And it's a never-ending topic, but there's going to be an end point. And it's very important for me to say, at least for those out there, those of you who are listening to the lectures online, and it's just audio and not visual, it is imperative that you find a way to view the lectures, because it will include slides that will help you understand the concepts a little better, especially when we'll discuss the esoterical side of marriage. And it's my hope that as a result of these classes, many of you out there will enhance your Shalom Bayit, and that this class will be a zechut for all those who still need to find their mate, including myself. And also I wanted to preface it by saying, does this mean that if I give this class that you're going to experience miracles upon miracles, and your husband or your wife, if it's a man out there, is going to have this miraculous turnaround? No. But Be'ezrat Hashem, I hope that it will at least enhance the marriage. And if it doesn't enhance the marriage because it's already at a point where it can no longer survive, perhaps it will enhance the next marriage. We shouldn't think of it that way, but unfortunately, I once had a talmidah who called me up. She wanted to learn Shalom Bayit privately. And I knew that she had just gotten divorced 2 months before. And I asked her, you want to take a class on Shalom Bayit now? She says, yes, because I plan to get remarried. And I know that I wasn't perfect. I was a partner in this marriage and in the divorce. And I want to sit down with you and I want to learn so that when I come into the next marriage, first and foremost, before I even enter the marriage, I'm going to know what to look for in a partner. The ideals and the values that I need in my life, in the house. What kind of home? What kind of atmosphere do I want to create? So at least I'll be able to gauge my partner when I'm dating, and I'll be able to know if that individual is the type of individual that I want to be married to. Is it a good person? Does that person have midot tovot? Do they have aspirations for spirituality? Are they doing good in the world? At least I'll be able to gauge myself. At least I'll be able to know what kind of home I want to build with that person. Also, she said, it will help me be able to understand the world of masculinity, to understand a man, who he is, what he is, how is he built, and me too. And Taka, this girl learned, Baruch Hashem, she's married. Again, we wish her all the best, and we hope, and she's happily married. Baruch Hashem, we wish her that she should continue to see brachot ve'yeshuot. Let's begin. When the Torah HaKdosha describes how Chava was created, it says in Sefer Bereshit, Vayikach achat mitzalotav, vayizgor basar tachtena. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took one of the sides of Adam and filled in flesh in its place. The word filled, vayizgor, is spelled with a samach, as you see here in the PowerPoint, with a samach. The Midrash informs us that the very first time that the letter samach appears in reference to a living creature is in the word vayizgor, specifically with the creation of the woman. And the Kabbalah Svarim teach us that the reason the samach is first mentioned here is because it represents the idea of marriage. How so? What is the idea of marriage? Marriage is a protective wall within which a person can feel accomplished and achieve contentment. That idea is epitomized by the very shape of the letter samach, which is the only letter in the Hebrew alphabet that's completely encased, that's completely closed. Now we know that when the kala is under the chuppah, she walks around her chatan several times, specifically 7 times. Why is this? Why is this? This tradition is actually taken from a pasuk in Sefer Yirmiyahu that says the following: Ad matai titchamakin habat hashobeva, ki vara Hashem chadasha nekeva tesovev gaver. Yirmiyahu Navi says, how long will you hide, O mischievous daughter? For Hashem has created something new on earth. A woman shall go after a man. The woman will surround the man, not go after him as in chase him and pursue him. No, that is not sanua for a woman to pursue a man. You could be nice to a guy, but you cannot pursue him in hopes of marriage. What this means is that a woman has the ability to influence a man. The dominating letter in the word tesovev is the samach. And that's because the samach is the protective wall. It's the protective wall, and within the confines of that wall, a couple is supposed to reach new heights, build a family, and feel contentment. Perhaps this is why the kala walks around her chatan several times. Perhaps that's why he gives her a perfectly round ring. Because just like she's meant to be the protective wall around him, he's supposed to be the protective wall around her. And interestingly, the phrase Ezer Kenegdo, which means a helpmate, is equal to 360 in Gematria. What do we know about the number 360? There are 360 degrees in a perfect circle. So a samach represents the ideal marriage. It's the protective wall that each partner gives to the other. It's the opportunity to achieve what we call the ABCs of a married life. A is to feel a sense of accomplishment in the marriage. B, to build. If to build a marriage, build a family. And C, to find that ultimate contentment. Tragically, however, all of us know situations where those walls start to crumble and the cracks of rift and conflict and dissension begin to creep up and creep in, and sometimes the conflict remains. Although many of us went into marriage with the dream of a perfect samach, especially women, they want the dream. Much of those dreams may have been shattered dafka in the pursuit of fulfilling that dream, believe it or not. So I think that in order to understand what a marriage implores us to be, what being a partner is really all about, what being a partner in a Jewish marriage is really all about, and in order to understand what happiness truly is and how we could attain it, we must examine marriage in the Torah HaKadosha. We can't look at the marriages of the secular world or Hollywood as an example. That's tumah, and they don't last. We have to learn God's words because only His words are true, and only Hashem's words offer us that light at the end of the dark tunnel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that matters. His truth is what matters. The Torah tells you the way it is, and it doesn't cut corners. Perhaps some of us need that kind of change in our life, where we could learn the truth and gradually allow it to penetrate our hearts, because the journey towards any growth in life begins with the truth within you, the truth that exists around you. And that truth is never going to change. And that truth is Hashem's truth. If you can zero in on the truth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and what He wants from you, you'll be able to make proper decisions in life. In order to gain perspective on life and marriage and who we are, we need to strengthen our learning of life through the eyes of that very truth that so many of us struggle to see, and so many of us even struggle to hold on to. So with this thought in mind, let's continue discussing the foundations and basis of marriage as seen through the eyes of the Torah HaKadosha. The integrity of marriage with regards to the Jewish people was legendary in ancient and medieval times. And the Jewish family life, even in this modern generation, is idealized and looked up to by many, many surrounding cultures. So the question is, what qualities make a Jewish marriage so stable and admired if you're living it the right way? If you're interacting with your partner the right way? If the home looks the right way? If it's maintained in the proper way? Now, Jewish marriage is not designed for the sole management of some sexual drive. And it's not here in order to subdue some human weakness. Jewish marriage actually made its appearance within the natural order of creation. And it wasn't a law that was transmitted by Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom, nor was it some kind of legal sanction. Marriage was a blessing from Hashem. Just as a woman was created as a separate being, an ezer kenegdo, a helpmate opposite man, as we see in Sefer Bereshit Perek Bet, so too the purpose of creation of marriage is stated in 5 words. 5 words, ladies. Vayomer Hashem Elokim, Lo tov heyot ha'adam levado. It is not good for man to be alone. Alone doesn't mean I'm sitting in my house all by myself. You could be alone in a marriage. You could be alone within a family setting. Marriage was created at the beginning. And at the same time, so were the principles of marriage created. Marriage and its principles weren't designed to control the passions of a man and the passions of a woman, but rather as a part of the natural order of a human society. In other words, the moment we're born, we're destined for marriage. And we see this when a newborn child is named. Because what bracha do we recite when we bring that little baby boy to have his brit milah? What do we say? We say, may he merit to grow up and enter lechuppah ulemaasim tovim. He should enter the marriage canopy and enter into a life of good deeds, of maasim tovim. So you see, marriage is the foundation of the basic relationship between a man and a woman, and it exists in order to perpetuate more life and to enhance more personal growth. You're not supposed to be stagnant in a marriage. You're not supposed to be regressing spiritually in a marriage. You're supposed to be proceeding forward with your partner. But the point is that marriage is seen as a blessing because it enables us to overcome loneliness. We'll talk about that soon. According to Rabbi Yosef Soloveitchik, alav shalom, the words in Sefer Bereshit which read, Lo tov heyot ha'adam levado, don't read Lo tov lihiyot ha'adam levado, which implies not that it's not good for man to be alone, but rather that it isn't good for man to be lonely. There is a difference, according to Rav Soloveitchik. Being alone means being physically alone, wanting company, needing assistance, needing the attention of the other partner. But being lonely means spiritual solitude. Because, like I said, one can feel very lonely even in a large crowd. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sought to remedy with the creation of a woman as an ezer kenegdo, a helpmate opposite man. What does this mean? It means that if the word levado means alone and implies simply needing company or requiring assistance, that would then turn the woman into a real ezer, a help, just like the help you hire. A servant. The woman cooks and cleans, and she becomes almost like a physical helper. But if the word levado means lonely, then the term ezer is not just a partner who lightens the burden, but she's a kenegdo. The woman becomes part of a spiritual union of 2 neshamot, of 2 souls. So it turns out that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the human being as a unit comprised of a man and a woman, one flesh completing one another. The Zohar HaKadosh says that man alone or woman alone constitutes only half of that unit. Interestingly, Rav Shimshon Rafal Hirsch, alav shalom, wrote that the word kala means completion. Now, how did he come to that idea? Kala means a bride. How did he come to that conclusion? He says that when the Mishkan, when the tabernacle was completed, the pasuk that describes its completion in Sefer Bamidbar, Perek Zayin, as you see in the PowerPoint, says the following: Vayihi bayom kalot Moshe lehakim et hamishkan. It was on the day that Moshe completed erecting the Mishkan. That teaches us that in marriage, the partners complete and fulfill themselves and each other. This is their natural state, and it's a bracha from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this theme is repeated at every Jewish marriage ceremony. The 7 nuptial blessings, the Sheva Berachot, speak of recovering Gan Eden, the miracle of Hashem's creation, the creation of man and woman so that the human race could continue. And then the 5th bracha refers to marriage in the scheme of creation. Sameach tesamach, ra'im ahuvim, kesamechacha yetzircha began eden mikedem. We say, make these beloved companions as happy as were the first human couple in Gan Eden. So we see that the happiness of Hashem's beracha is invoked at the start of every Jewish home. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu created men and woman and their marriage relationship, and if the creation of man and woman is good and marriage is a blessing, then Hashem is a conscious but silent partner in that marriage. Therefore, the ideal Jewish marriage is a triangle composed of 2 human beings and the Ribono Shel Olam. You cannot have a successful Jewish marriage, at least not a successful spiritual Jewish marriage, without HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the picture. And that means that the relationship has to have Hashem between them. That means the house has to be infused with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's teachings. It means the manner in which the house is maintained and run has to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in it. It means even the things that a couple talks about has to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in it. And most marriages that do, most, not all, many, succeed. If it's really that way. The great Tana, Rabbi Yoshua ben Koch, alav hashalom, points out that when man was first created, he was called Adam, to indicate his natural structure, which was that of flesh and blood. Adam, dam, it's flesh and blood. But when the woman was created, his status, Adam's status, changes from Adam to Ish. Very interesting. And the woman becomes Isha because she was created from the Ish. Therefore, the 2 are referred to as these fiery, living, dynamic beings. And Hashem included into the marriage by adding 2 letters of his own name, a Yud and a Hey, to the name Ish, there's a Yud there, and Isha, there's a Hey at the end. He inserted the Yud into the man's name, turning the Esh, the fire, into Ish, into a man. And he inserted the letter Hey into the woman's name, Isha. Chachamim taught us that Hashem said, if they walk in my ways, and if they observe my commandments, behold, my name will abide with them and deliver them from trouble. But if not, I will take away the letters of my name from them so that they will revert to Esh, to fire. And one fire will consume the other fire. Therefore, with Hashem as a partner, marriage is a bracha for the Ish and the Isha. But without Hashem, it can become an inferno where men and women are simply devouring each other. They're eating up each other alive. And it happens a lot. Jewish marriage is therefore naturally sanctified by Hashem. And from this concept of Hashem's involvement in marriage, there are insights and obligations that married people unfortunately often ignore. For example, if one partner is unfaithful, lo alenu, it isn't just a marital problem. It shatters the fundamental unit of creation. In most cases where one spouse betrays another, like in the case of adultery, lo alenu, the religious court is instructed to issue a divorce even against their will. In other words, a couple could forgive a violation of their own personal integrity, but they have no right to forgive an assault upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu's integrity and his participation in that marriage. That's why adultery is considered such an awful crime. In other words, Jews abide by a code of behavior which is based on the appreciation of the divine creation of marriage. It's based on Hashem's active presence within the marriage. The fact that a couple maintains this awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence in their life, that's what's going to help them to observe the strict purity of the Jewish home. And it's so important that the home remain pure on every level. On every level. Our Torah teaches us that the premise of every Jewish marriage is the knowledge that Hashem is a partner in our home. Now, if we compare this to the non-Jewish practice of celibacy, which reflects a philosophy of withdrawal from the real world, we find that a Jewish marriage is actually the decision to confront the challenge of the real world and to rise above it, to rise above the challenges. When a Jewish person marries, he not only enters into a marriage, he also enters into the world of the Jewish community, the world of concern for the survival of the Jewish people, and the world of caring and feeling responsible for total strangers, as we see when we do acts of chesed and kindness. Moving on, I want to talk about marriage and friendship. The Rambam Alav Shalom differentiates between three friendship categories. The first is a chaver, a companion. This is something that we associate with marriage. In marriage, we have a chaver ledavar, which means a practical relationship that depends on mutual usefulness. But then when the usefulness disappears, the bond of love begins to fade away. That's what we refer to as batel davar, batel ahava. In other words, when that practical item in marriage is no longer available to us, batel davar, then the love is canceled out together with that item. So, for example, if a man is wealthy and you marry the man for his money, if the money is gone, the love will also be gone. If the love was ever there to begin with. Maybe you didn't love him, maybe you just loved his money. That's category number one. The second category is chaver leda'aga, someone with whom to share sorrows, troubles, and also joy. We need this category in marriage in order to lighten our load. Joys should be multiplied, and sorrows should be divided when they're shared. And the third category is chaver lede'ah. This is a joint dedication to common goals where both the man and the woman wish to realize, to bring to potential their ideas. This is when they want to sacrifice for the goal, and this is when they have a joint da'at where they're thinking the same thing and their goals are the same and they both sacrifice for that goal. Marriage must consist of the first and second levels of friendship, which is the physical and psychological aspects of a joint partnership. But if the partners, ladies, are truly chaverim, and their union becomes a chibur, a joint partnership, then the couple forms a community of commitment. After all, love seeks eternity. You want to be with your partner forever. Love seeks kedusha. It seeks a rootedness in a superior power. That's the ultimate in a Jewish marriage. True ahuvim, true lovers, cannot endure in a hastily put together arrangement. Okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, and we'll just, as it comes, we'll deal with it. Love will not be fulfilled until it reaches that ultimate moment, which is the moment of total commitment of marriage, and to the marriage as a joint effort towards a spiritual goal. Therefore, love becomes, in that case, a sacred trust. And that's the description of the relationship of the Chatan and the Kala as we bless them under the chuppah. What do we say? We refer to them as Re'im Ahuvim, beloved friends. And that's because we call them that because a Jewish marriage requires the sanctification of an almighty and eternal God. A love without kedusha can rarely withstand the daily frustrations, the anger, and the hurt. In order to truly flourish in a marriage, the couple has to understand that they originated in the plan of the creator of this universe, and the world cannot exist without Hashem in it or without his master plan. In such a marriage, where Hashem is in the picture, marriage becomes the natural home of love. It's in this place of kedusha that a marriage can grow and enrich itself and leave something worthy in its wake. But a love that isn't able to express itself through any semblance of holiness, that's a frustrated love. It's not a healthy kind of love. Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg, alav shalom, taught that when Hashem said, Lo tov heyot ha'adam levado, it is not good that man should be alone, it meant that man's inner capacity for goodness can never be realized unless he has someone upon whom to shower his affections, his good. The word ahava, love, comes from the word hav, which means to give. Mature love is expressed through giving. And when you give, the love becomes even greater. Marriage isn't just a private arrangement designed solely for mutual satisfaction. The importance of marriage rests in how the couple sees their bond, how they demonstrate their love, how they distribute virtues in their home. And of course, every Jewish marriage has to partake of the original covenant. And that's to understand that Hashem is the third partner. It's not just you and your husband in the house alone. Jewish values aren't based on theories. Rather, we live by those values every single day. And that means that a Jewish couple needs a religiously oriented home. Every Jewish couple needs an investment in the Jewish community and a concern with the fate of Hashem's world. We don't want to admit it, but the breakdown of our communities, where the children seem to find their way now in the secular world, or they want to go off the derech, that ultimately might be as a result of what the couple in the house is displaying. How the mother and father are functioning in the home. Not all the time, there are exceptions to the rule. But most often, I go into homes and the women tell me, my daughter's like this, my son is like this. And then I have a talk with the couple, with the mother and the father, and I realize so many things are lacking ruchaniyut in their marriage. The things that they do or things that they engage in as a Jewish couple, how could that bring bracha to the house? I don't understand it sometimes, but anyway, moving on. I want to talk about the religious and ethical precepts of marriage. Let's talk about the engagement period. Getting engaged, so beautiful. We wish it upon all of the women and the men of Klal Yisrael who still need a partner. Concerning the engagement period of a couple as opposed to the marriage stage, we observe a difference in the laws between these two stages. HaKadosh Baruch Hu forbade intimate relations for the engaged couple, but He permitted it for the married couple, and interestingly, that's actually a declaration that appears in the legal document called a Tnaim. Literally translated, it means conditions. There are conditions and or stipulations during the engagement stage. The Tnaim, not everybody signs the Tnaim in this generation. I know the Hasidim do. The Tnaim is signed in order to ensure that the engagement process proceeds smoothly and that there are no tricks and surprises on the day of the wedding. It also ensures that the bride and the groom are bound to one another and they're not going to break the engagement and go off running and marrying other people. Today, like I said, in a few circles, the Tnaim is signed during the engagement stage, while the majority of couples today sign the Tnaim on the actual day of the marriage right before the chuppah. The reason for this is because many halachic authorities claim that the Tnaim is so legally binding that it's very difficult to get out of it in the event that a problem does arise during the engagement period, some extenuating circumstance, and if both partners or one wants to get out, it would be very hard to break the Tnaim. So many people wait until the day of the chuppah in order to sign the Tnaim. But moving on, the point is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wishes us for us to understand that true love between a man and a woman is a love that follows the religious and ethical precepts of the Torah. And for such a couple, life holds the possibility of being as close to Gan Eden as possible in this world. But if the couple violates HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mitzvot, then they inadvertently repeat the experience of Adam and Chava in Gan Eden. That is, they become lost. Along these lines, we realize that Jewish marriage serves many purposes. But the phrase that incorporates all of the purposes is central to the wedding service. And that's when the Chatan tells the Kala, Harei at mekudeshet li. You are hereby sanctified unto me. Now, I have to tell you, ladies, I don't think that many guys out there even know what they were saying when they gave the Kala the ring. Many of them, you see them, the rabbi tells them, say Hare'at. He says Hare'at, mekudeshet li. Do you even understand what you're saying when you give this woman a ring? You understand the implications of what you say? Hare'at, mekudeshet li. Do you understand? The spiritual implications of those words, the esoterical implication, they don't even understand. For them it's a party. And for some of them it's just one step closer to the Yichud room. Interestingly, Rabbanim tell us that the covenant of marriage requires more than this declaration of Kedusha. You say it, but it's actually the remainder of the marriage formula that's extremely crucial to Jewish survival. That's why the end of those words, under the chuppah, what does he say, the Chatan? Kedat Moshe v'Yisrael, according to the laws of Moshe and Israel. In other words, the way this marriage will be sanctified is by virtue of the fact that the laws of Torah, which Moshe Rabbeinu brought down from Har Sinai and gave to our people, Am Yisrael, they are going to be adhered and respected in our home. Without this part of the formula, it's going to be very difficult for a Jewish couple to reach their spiritual goal as a man and wife united the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them to be. I once saw a flyer that invited couples to attend a session on marriage, and the flyer read, "Life after marriage." That implies that there's a life after marriage. And I guess each person has to determine if indeed there is life after marriage. But since we are on the topic of marriage, I do want to introduce you to a novel idea that I hope is going to give you a deeper view of who you are as a married woman and what your role really is. Chachamim teach us, Yesh 60 ribo otiyot laTorah. There are approximately 600,000 letters in the Torah HaKdosha. And we're told that this is why we're referred to as Yisrael. Because the word Yisrael stands for, it's an acronym for, Yesh 60 ribo otiyot laTorah. Incredible. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Now, interestingly, if you count the letters of the Torah, you'll notice that in actuality, there are only approximately 300,000 letters. So what does it mean that we're told that there are 600,000 letters? And there are many answers given on this. But I just want to offer you one. The letter Aleph is actually comprised of 3 letters. 2 yuds and a vav. So the Aleph could actually be considered 3 letters. So when you start to break down each letter, it's possible to reach 600,000. That's number 1. We're also taught that the original count of neshamot in Klal Yisrael were 600,000. So there seems to be a correlation. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah, connected the 600,000 original primary neshamot, of which each of us has a part, of chelek, of that original neshama. Hence, there are more than 600,000 Jews in the world. And the Sfarim HaKadoshim tell us that every Jew is connected and plugged into a particular letter in the Torah. And that's where each of us receives her own personal electricity from. And that's where each of us receives her kedusha from, that letter. Chachamim teach us that the men are compared to the letters of the Torah. Why? Because they're obligated to study the Torah, to delve into it. And since that's their obligation, therefore a man's kesher, a man's connection to the Torah, is through the otiyot of the Torah, through the letters of the Torah. But where's the woman's connection to the Torah? So one interpretation is, once a man and a woman get married, they become like one. Kebasar echad. So if the man has a connection to a particular letter in the Torah, the woman takes on that letter together with him by virtue of the pasuk that says, Ishto kegufo. His wife is like his own body. But tonight I want to offer a great chidush concerning this inyan. We know that every part of a Sefer Torah is considered Kodesh. Even the klaf, the parchment, has Kedusha. It's not just a mere piece of paper. It has tremendous holiness. How do we know? Because if chas v'shalom, a Sefer Torah is burnt, lo alenu, we have to tear Kriya twice. Once for the letters of the Torah, and once for the klaf. Chachamim inform us that the woman's connection to the Sefer Torah is that she embodies the klaf on which the letters are written. Ladies, this is very significant. Perhaps this is why the Gemara says, Hasharoi belo isha, sharoi belo Torah. If a man is not married, he doesn't have a true chelek of the Torah. How can we say that? And we say that because a man is the letter And a woman is the cloth, the parchment. But if you don't have a cloth, if you don't have a parchment, where are you going to put the letters? You can't write a letter in midair. In order for that letter to gain its permanence, it needs to be placed somewhere. That means that every marriage is like writing in a Sefer Torah. Amazing. Interestingly, right before the Torah was given at Har Sinai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked Moshe to gather the women and address them first. What was the message that was imparted to the women first? They were told, you should just know, Nashim Tzadkaniot, that Hashem is about to give us a Sefer Torah. This was a warning to the women that they have to be careful. And after that meeting was held, Moshe Rabbeinu held a meeting with the men. Now, why would Hashem tell the women about the Torah before the men who were going to be obligated to study the Torah? You know why? Because when you write a Sefer Torah, what comes first? First, you need the cloth. You need the parchment. Then you could write the letters on the parchment. First, the women needed to be prepared. Once the parchment is prepared, once the foundation has been set, so now you could begin to write the otiyot, you could begin to write the letters. And very interestingly, the halakha says, before the sofer, before the scribe begins writing a Sefer Torah, he has to designate the parchment, and he says, Hareni mekadesh et haklaf hazo. Behold, I am sanctifying this cloth for the writing of a Sefer Torah. Does this sound familiar? When you stood under the chuppah and your husband placed that ring on your finger, he said, Hare at mekudeshet li. These are the words that a sofer uses to designate a parchment. You understand the kedusha that's taking place over here? Why am I telling you this? Because in the secular world, marriage doesn't have a resonance of kedusha. It's two people making commitments and very beautiful vows to one another. But there's very little sanctity. In Yahadut, however, a marriage is no less than writing a Sefer Torah. It's no less than the writing of a Sefer Torah. And before a man joins with his wife, he must sanctify her. Hare'at mekudeshet li. This parchment is designated only for me and no one else. It is separated and holy only unto me and no one else. You are mekudeshet. You become designated. You become sanctified. And only then can the writing of the letters of your life together with your husband begin to be written. And I'm going to add something else for you to think about. What color does a bride usually wear? White. What color does the chatan generally wear? Black. No? You always see the pictures. Why? It's very interesting. Because the husband represents a letter in the Torah. And the letters of the Torah are black. And the woman represents the parchment. So she wears white because the parchment is kind of white. So even the colors under the chuppah symbolize this concept. Amazing. Pele plaot. But I want to go even further than this. Let's take a look at the word ot. Ot means a letter. The word ot in gematria is equal to 407. The word klaf in gematria is equal to 210. Together, they equal 617. The word ish, which means man, is equal to 311 in gematria. The word Isha, which means woman, is equal to 306 in Gematria. Together, 311 and 306 is 617. You hear what I'm telling you? That means an Ish and an Isha equals a Sefer Torah. That's their connection. Pele Plaot. One more thing. There are 613 mitzvot in the Torah HaKdosha. What's the last mitzvah? Mitzvah number 613 is the commandment to write a Sefer Torah. What's the first mitzvah? The first mitzvah in the Torah is Pu Urevu. Be fruitful and multiply. What's the connection between the last mitzvah and the first mitzvah? The last mitzvah asks us to write a physical Sefer Torah. And the first mitzvah is the Sefer Torah that you're going to write when you get married. How are you going to raise your children? What will your house look like? When you attempt to bring those neshamot that will be the next generation, how are you going to go about that? What kind of home are you going to create? Are you going to remain mekudeshet? Are you going to remain worthy enough for all those precious letters to be written on? What does your Sefer Torah look like in your home? If that Sefer Torah was brought before Shamayim to open and read from, would the Malachim be able to use that Sefer Torah? Or would it be considered pasul, nullified, voided? Now we all know the famous teaching that the word Ish and Isha, as we said earlier, share the same letters, an Aleph and a Shin, with the exclusion of the letter Yud and the letter Hey. The Yud in the man's name, the Hey in the lady's name. Now, we all know the famous Midrash. If all is good between the couple, then the Shekhinah is Shroya Benehem. A man and a woman share the two letters of Hashem's name. That Yud and the Hey, and the Shalom. So we've got the Yud and the Hey. But where's the Vav? Where's the other Hey of Hashem's name? Hashem's name is Yud, Hey, then a Vav, and then a Hey. So we've got the Yud in the man's name, we've got the Hey in the lady's name. We need a Vav, we need a Hey. Ladies, we know that one of the things that binds a marriage and is needed if Chaz v'Shalom the marriage ends is a Ketubah. Now, in the language of the Torah, a document is called a shtar or a ktav. So what's a Ketubah? There is no other document in the Torah that is referred to as a Ketubah other than a marriage document. Chachamim say, true, it's called a ktav. It's called a ktav, document. But we added a vav and a hey for a reason, Ketubah. Because we didn't want a man and a woman to live together without a Ketubah. Because if an Ish and an Isha are living together without this holy document, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu isn't completely with them. It's just a Yud and a Hey. In order for them to have the Shekhinah with them and for them to experience Beracha, Hashem's full name has to be present. And Ish and Isha together with the Ketubah, meaning with a marriage, is a good beginning towards that, a holy marriage. But not what we see today. A lot of couples, lo alenu, in the secular world, Jewish couples are engaging in premarital activities without a ketubah. But again, the point is the greatness of who you are as a woman. The entire foundation of marriage essentially rests on you. The way your home looks will depend on how you choose to help your husband write your personal Sefer Torah. So the question that I want to leave you with today, before we continue part 2, is what kind of Sefer Torah do you ultimately want to be writing? Until next time, I wish you all tremendous Yeshuot, Nechamot, Bracha, V'atzlacha in your marriages, in your relationships, and may we continue to see all of Klal Yisrael flourishing and emerging with Kedusha and Tahara. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon.